most outstanding students. Wearing all these hats, I applaud Mrs. Rickert in taking her stand on the current level of New York State testing. While she spoke on the specific educational components, I would like to speak primarily as a parent. Like Mrs. Rickert, I too am a rule follower. My husband and I have chosen not to opt our son out of state testing thus far. While I appreciate the support of many of the parents who have made that choice, we felt we just couldn't. It was the rule, so we followed. Testing is a part of life, so he tested. We haven't wanted our son, who is only 12, to fight a battle he doesn't understand. I also work with students with disabilities, and if my students had to struggle through these tests, then my normal son could handle it. Please understand, I say normal with quotation marks. He is far from normal. None of my students are normal. They are unique with their own talents and struggles, just like my son. But according to New York State, at the end of 4th grade, my son qualified as normal, a 3, meeting New York State standards. But it has gone from bad to worse. These tests are inappropriate and they are invalid. I am all for hard work at the level that is appropriate to my son's level of development. I am all for the occasional test to identify trends and see if students are reaching benchmarks. These particular tests, however, tell us very little, except that now my son is a 2, below average and not meeting New York State standards as of the end of 5th grade. Fortunately for me, both my son and my 17-year-old daughter had the same 5th grade teacher. At the end of her year, my daughter was a 4. My son was a 2. New York State would have me believe that in the intervening 5 years, this teacher became stodgy, out of date, and an ineffective teacher. Because if my son is failing, she must be also. I found the only difference to be the test. Both of my children learned. Both of my children were pushed to be better because they could be better. Both thoroughly enjoyed school, but one child was considered above average, exceeding expectations, and one is a failure. More importantly, what I find even most disturbing is that with the earlier tests, the teachers, administrators, and myself as a parent had access to these tests and their results. We could identify specific areas of strength and weakness. We could identify if it was a poorly worded question, a topic the teacher might have missed, or just a bad day for my child. With these new tests, and every year, we get less and less data. My child is a failure because someone somewhere has decided that without giving me any information on which to base that conclusion. We can't review, we can't look, we cannot even discuss these exams. My child is being tested for absolutely no reason if we cannot go back and study the results. And his teacher is being tested for absolutely no reason if she can't go back and study the results. Failure is a part of life if we can learn from it. Legend says Edison failed 999 times before succeeding with the light bulb. But what Edison had that our students do not are the results of those 999 failures. He could study his data, he could see what worked, he could tweak, and he could move on and make changes and find the strength to continue because he had a goal. Our young students don't even have goals yet, nor the strength to sit through this many hours of testing. My 6th grader's dream is to play in the NBA. His backup plan is to be a Jedi Knight. Not realistic, but completely and developmentally appropriate. His personal goal is not to get into 7th grade. We have decided that for him, it just is. Please, let's encourage our legislators to save the high-stakes testing for when it matters. My high school senior, she has a goal. She chose to take the SATs and ACTs. She thought they were tough, she didn't like it, but she prepared, and she chose to take them twice to better her results. But she's nearly an adult. Her life is beginning to get real. My 12-year-old will be expected to sit through 90 minutes of testing over 3 days, 4.5 hours, and then do the same thing a few days later for 9 hours total. That is only one isolated snapshot of my son. In perspective, those SATs, 3 hours and 45 minutes. In more perspective, to recertify with the American Board of Family Medicine, my husband's total test time, 6 hours and 40 minutes. 2 hours and 20 minutes less than what we are asking my sixth grader to do. Yet, without all this testing, my husband is a successful doctor. My daughter seems to be a successful student. My elder daughter is doing quite well in her second year of college with quite a nice scholarship, I might add, all without having these developmentally inappropriate concepts as students. One of the most successful people I know is my brother. By outside standards, he is incredibly successful. He owns his own business and employs many workers at decent wages, all without meeting these current New York State standards, all without even going to college. Fortunately, my parents realized early on that his path was different from his sister's. They allowed him the freedom to work hard in his own way. Hard work, yes. College readiness, not necessarily. He, in actuality, makes far more money than his college-educated sister and medically educated brother-in-law. However, I personally find him successful because he works hard, he supports his family, he's a great dad, a good husband, and continually gives back to his community. Characteristics I find way more important than any college degree. I would like to close with these two thoughts. As the parent of one of Mrs. Rickard's students, I respect and completely agree with her stand asking for reassignment on test days. As a teaching assistant, working with students with disabilities, I cannot in my heart take that same stand. If the parents of my students choose to have their children take the test, then I want to be the one in the room with them. I have taken them through all their other tests, and while I object strongly to these particular tests, I will be by them as they struggle. And finally, 2 quotes from Einstein that show truly how ridiculous these tests can be. The first, if you want your children to be smart, read them fairy tales. If you want them to be smarter, read them more fairy tales. And then finally, everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it to be stupid. With those thoughts, I am letting you know that we too, as parents, are finally taking a stand. And this year, my son will not be taking these New York State tests. Thank you.